Corporal Minderhagen, you may conduct your drill.
Thank you, sir. Welcome to the Pike drill. What we have forth here is a group of pikemen. They are called pikemen due to the fact of the pole that they carry, the pike. Now, the pike could be anywhere from what we have here, about 12 feet to 20 feet, often made out of ash. The head could be anything like the triangle that we have on our pikemen, mainly for piercing armor, or even up to the leaf blade like I have. Now mine is much shorter. I have the sergeant's pike. The sergeant could not be here with you today because today is his natal day and he refuses to leave the pub. So if you see a short, angry man up there, short, angry Irish man, tell him Happy Natal Day. Now, the sergeant's pike being shorter, it's not really a weapon for against the enemy. Mine is more of a motivational device. When they want to go home, I convince them they keep on fighting the enemy. Now, the pikemen worked hand in hand with our brothers and sisters in the musket. If you were here earlier today, you would learn that the muskets have no bayonet. The bayonet will not be around for at least another 100 or so years. So, what the musketeers got for bayonet is the pikemen, a bunch of armored, strong, angry individuals to do the stabbing for them. Now, a pikeman's job was to protect the musketeers in combat, in close combat. Now, the musketeers being our cover, they would do the shooting, we would all be lined up together, and usually our good friends the musketeers, as we're marching into the battle, would be shooting around us or even over top of us to give us cover. Now the pikemen took longer to train than our friends the musketeers. Not that our drills are more complicated. It is actually easier to be a pikeman than it is to be a musketeer. Musketeers have about 20-some maneuvers in their drill. Pikemen have about 10. Pikemen can't blow themselves up if they did something wrong. Unfortunately, the musketeers could if they were having a very bad day. Now, what took it so long to make a pikeman was the fact that the pike and the musket were both drawn forth from the fields, the farmers. You were voluntold. It's your lucky day. You're now in the army. The pikemen had to get used to wearing armor, a helmet, food, water, any luxury like blankets. They had to get used and build up the endurance and the strength to carry these items on a march. So it took longer for a pikeman because they had to get physically strong to do this job. We need the pikemen to be able to carry everything they have, march 15 to 20 miles, and still have the energy to confront the enemy at the end of the day. Now, you notice some of our pikemen do not have armor. This is also the need of supply and demand. They will be getting the armor soon when their friend is through buried. Unfortunately, not the best in the way. Now, right now, my pikemen are in the order position. This is a good way to do guard duty. Your pike is all resting on the earth, so you're not weighing you down, but you're pretty much stuck right here in this position. Now, if I needed to move my pikemen, I would give them the order, pikemen, advance side pike! Now, from here, this is a much fancier way to stand guard duty. Like if we were having nobles around, like we do, they like pretty things. So this is a much more prettier way to stand guard duty. It's also a more effective way to travel. They can't. The armor keeps them from looking up. So they can't tell when they're coming next to a tree or a portcullis. It's a gate they have to go through. And I myself, since the sergeant having his birthday up there, don't want to explain to the officers why I left the pikemen in a jumbled mess and continued to parade on without them. So what you would do is give them the order to port, or portcullis. Pikemen, port sign Pike. Now this, they can see the end of their pipe, they can get through most obstacles, and between you and me, this is a great way to knock squirrels out of a tree for supper. But it is not yet a fighting position, unless you happen to be a squirrel. The fighting maneuver, the pikemen would be told, pikemen, charge sign Pike. Now, this is where they go into business. As you can see, they are sighting down their pike shack. Their left hand is tucked in underneath their chin. As you notice, we don't have neck arms. So we put it there for the sacrifice. It's better to lose your fingers than to take a spear tip to the throat. You also notice on my armored pikemen, their left arm is tucked in as close as they can underneath their underarm. That is so they sacrifice their arm over taking a spear through the ribcage. Pikemen, salute your queen! Your Majesty. Thank you, Your Majesty. Pikemen, back to the charge. She is. She talked to me. It's good being the corporal. Now, for the purpose of drilling, they would be giving the order to lay on. Now, in actual combat, they would stab as soon as they came into contact with the enemy, trying to kill as many as they could, aiming for the neck, the underarm, the leg. Try to prevent, actually just trying to get back to beer at the end of the day, to be truthful. I'm not trying to hit. Now, for the purpose of a drill, they would receive the order, lay on!
Yeah!
Lay on!
Yeah!
Lay on!
Yeah!
Very good. Pikemen, return to the order position. And they would train like that for hours to build the strength, to pierce as many people so that they would not get tired. Now, the other thing that the pikemen were for is a living wall. Pikemen were treated better, unfortunately, because if you met these people, they're good people too, than the musketeers, our brethren, because it was considered more noble and more gentlemanly to fight an enemy in hand weapons than with a musket. So unfortunately, our good brothers and sisters in the musketeers were looked down on to us. But we were their living wall. We would die so that they could shoot around us. The scourge of the battlefield was the knight on horse. Pikemen was the answer to the knight on horse to protect the musketeers. The pikemen would go into a position called charging horse, which would deter most of the animals. Pikemen, prepare for horse! As you can see, my pikemen are down low. They have their hands on their swords. Now, if a knight was to come charging, more often than not, the horse was smarter than the gentleman riding it. And the horse would realize, I'm going to die, and stop. Unfortunately, science, who is nobody's friend, is on against the poor knight and would launch him with momentum, usually over top of our pike block, back here where our friends the musketeers are. who are now prepared to crack him open like an overcooked lobster. And one thing about the Army at this time is we have a lot of butter, and like lobster. Pikemen, return to the order. Now, if the horse wasn't smarter, it actually did hit the pike block. Unfortunately, most of the pikemen in the past would be crushed. You really can't stop a 2,000-pound animal with a 200-pound man in armor. But if, by fluke, something would happen and the horse did not crash into the pike block, pikemen, prepare for horse. The pikemen were trained in their secondary weapon. They would receive the order as soon as the horse crashed in. Drop pike and draw for sword. Now you have a bunch of heavily armored individuals who are very angry that you have just broken their horse to their favorite toy, and now want to talk to you about it. Pikemen were also trained to use their hand weapons. The pikemen did not fight as gentlemanly as a noble or a sword master. They were more concerned to get through as many as possible the enemy so that they can again go home to the beer and butter, things that everybody in the Army loves. Pikemen, put away your sword and draw forth your pike. That figures that order out. I just made it up myself.
Yeah, he knows it.
You noticed that? I'm good at that. I'm good at this English language. Yeah. All right, take thy pike up to the event. All right, is there any questions? None? Pikemen, salute your audience. Thank you for attending the Pike demo. Pikemen, recover to the event. I do have practice pike. If there are any of the little ones that would like to learn how to become a pikeman,